Hello Tennos, this is Zelp here today to talk about the Helios Prime, specifically on how to do good damage with it. So more on its weapon, the Prime Deconstructor. Now I've talked about how strong the normal Helios and its Deconstructor were in a previous video, and today we'll be talking about that and more. First off, let's look at the attack pattern, which I know some people got confused over it and were talking to me at the comments. The Deconstructor fires a glaive or star type weapon. It has a magazine size of 6 and a reload time of 3 seconds. Someone mentioned that it actually reloads after every 3 attacks, which is not true. The reason why it would seem so is because of the limitation the Helios gives to the weapon from the mod Targeting Receptor. This mod limits up to only 3 stars to be on the field at any given time, which causes the Sentinel to stop attacking after 3 fires until it gets back at least 1 of the stars. They seem to also added something interesting since my last video on the Deconstructor, which is actually more like a debuff, whereby when time comes to do an attack but it couldn't due to the maximum amount of stars in the field, it will still consider as an attack. And what this means is that, let's say it skipped the 4th attack during the time that it should attack, now it only attacks up to 5 times and then starts reloading. The best way to overcome this limitation from Targeting Receptor is to have a max ranked quick return equipped. This forces the stars fired to return immediately after hitting something once, which will prevent you from having as many as 3 stars in the field at the same time. This will actually make you attack faster and deal more damage on a single target. Depending on your build, a rank 2 quick return could also have a similar effect. The next thing people ask is, since it is a melee weapon and it does impact damage, wouldn't Shattering Impact be great for this Sentinel to remove armor? Now, in case you do not know how Shattering Impact actually works, I've put a link at the description below on a video about it. So sadly, the Deconstructor does not trigger Shattering Impact as effectively as a normal melee weapon would. This is due to the fact that it actually shoots 1 impact based attack once every 3 attacks. In fact, according to Wiki, the sequence is fixed as impact, slash, and then puncher and repeat. Should you use Shattering Impact? A lot depends on the enemies that you are facing. For example, if you're fighting against a butcher, it is very useful to have Shattering Impact because it's gonna strip off all of its armor despite his level in the first hit. But if you're fighting against something like a heavy gunner, it's gonna take you hundreds and hundreds of attack just to remove all of his armor. Here are some other stuff that you might wonder about the Deconstructor that I've tested on and I'd like to share. Like, for example, does it have a melee combo counter? The answer is no. It also doesn't do any critical damage. It aims for headshot, but due to the delay of flight speed, it will have a higher miss rate on a moving target, which makes it a better weapon against closer range enemies over an enemy that is further because there is less traveling time. The weapon has a problem when it comes to attacking enemies who are knocked down, so probably not a good idea to use blast combo with it. Now, time for something interesting. The damage you do with the Deconstructor is too high in comparison to the damage displayed to you, and we could tell this from the ratio of damage it does, because technically you can't see the damage done by your companions. It makes sense that the damage that we are actually doing is the weapon's throw damage, which is higher than the displayed damage given to us, probably around 4 to 5 times more. But even so, the damage is still very much lacking. It kinda comes down to one most possible reason that I'm still not sure if it is intended, which is that it does stealth damage. I know this is hard to accept considering that the Helios is not invisible, but if you think about it, what causes the stealth damage? It is an individual unalertness level that the enemy has on melee attacks. So let's say an enemy is alerted by a player A. Player B can still do stealth damage if he is invisible or undetected by the enemy. In case you don't already notice this, but enemies don't aim directly at your Sentinel as long as you are alive. This is probably due a lack of presence the Sentinel has. Also, the Deconstructor is a melee weapon which is silent. And finally, if you have seen my video on the possible bug of gas and stealth combo, which gives you 512 times more damage, You would also conclude that the Deconstructor is doing stealth damage when you see the monstrous damage it does when modded with gas. I realized that some people are a bit confused with what melee range mods does for the throwing weapon. It actually increases the diameter of the star when you throw it, so it is less likely to miss, and it also increases the distance of the weapon to start attacking, which could be quite impressive. A fair warning not to bring this build out when you are dealing with a synthesis target because it will kill them freakingly fast, and you just really don't want that to happen. When it comes to modding, the gas build is of course the current meta, but since it is suspected to be a bug, you might want to consider a bleeding build instead when that is fixed. With all the greatness of the Helios in mind, it does have a weakness, and that is a delay when changing targets. This delay is caused by the Helios, which takes about 4 to 5 seconds to switch between enemies, and this delay does not include reload. How do I know that it is caused by the Helios and not the Deconstructor? It is simply because if you guys were around when I teach about the Sentinel bug that allows other Sentinels to equip the Deconstructor, and if you still have that bug Sentinel, it will remain as it is if you do not change its weapon. So with that, you will realize that the delay does not occur. You should consider using Fire Up on your Sentinel to increase your damage. More information will be given to you on modding and other stuff on the Helios by my buddy Xander at his channel Xandypants. Most of my videos are mainly facts and just sharing an explanation on interesting things I find in Warframe. If you prefer a more entertaining commentary, check out Xandypants' channel, link will be at the description and somewhere on the screen. He is always early when it comes to the latest weapons and Warframe. He talks about fashion, and very recently he got partnered with DE and will be doing giveaways really soon. But of course, if you find my video helpful, don't forget to subscribe so that you do not miss the next interesting video on Warframe. Go ahead and ask me stuff at the comments or at Twitter, and maybe I just might make a video based off it. Once again, this is Zell wishing you a pleasant day, and bye bye.